which really reflect Trump's grip on the Republican Party and, new people coming in on the state level, reflecting some of the problems that we've already experienced as a country. NBC News projects Tim Michels has won Wisconsin's Republican primary for governor. The Trump-endorsed candidate beat out the state's former lieutenant governor, Rebecca Kleefisch, who had the support of former Vice President Mike Pence. Michels will face Democratic Governor Tony Evers this fall in what will be one of the top battleground state showdowns of the year. At the same time, 3 other Trump-backed Republicans won their primaries in House races in Wisconsin. And NBC News projects Wisconsin's Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes has won the state's Democratic Senate primary. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster is live for us in Madison, Wisconsin. Shaq, break it down for us. What more do you know?
Hi there, Mika. Well, the general election battle in one of the nation's most crucial battleground states is now set. That field is now clear. And on the Republican side, it will be Tim Michels taking on Democrat Tony Evers. And Michels won despite the fact that his opponent, Lieutenant Governor or former Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Kleefisch, was the early favorite in this race. She was not only a former Lieutenant Governor for 8 years, but she served under Scott Walker, had a record of legislative achievements, and was backed by Vice President Pence and many of those local groups in this state because of how early she got into this race. But it was that endorsement by former President Donald Trump that Michels says helped boosted him over the finish line. You see the margin. It was about 5 percentage points that he won in this battle. And then that's the governor's race. But there's also the Senate race. Well, that was the race we expected to be more competitive, that we expected to be a true nail biter, but in one in which you saw the Democratic field completely clear out in the past 2 weeks. It's the race to take on Republican Ron Johnson, one of the most vulnerable senators in the country. There you see Mandela Barnes, the lieutenant governor of this state, winning that primary. I want you to listen to a little bit of what we heard from Mandela Barnes last night and how he set up this battle against Ron Johnson.
While Ron Johnson continues to stack the deck against us, I'm here to tell you that we're not going to give up. Because in our greatest challenges are our greatest opportunities. We have the opportunity to bring back good-paying jobs to Wisconsin and to rebuild this middle class. The middle class that gave me an opportunity to stand in front of you today.
Now, it was not a clean sweep for those who former President Trump endorsed here in this state. The longest-serving Assembly Speaker, Robin Vos, he did win his primary. He hung on to his seat by just a couple of hundred votes. Mika?
All right, NBC, Shaquille Brewster, thank you very much.
Maya, let me bring you back in here. Mika will tell you that I always preach against catastrophizing. That I'm always like, it's going to be okay. This republic, we've taken a detour. We're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. In fact, I've been doing that my entire life, telling my parents, no Barack Obama, and telling relatives and friends on the right, no, what you read about Sharia law is not true. Hugging my friends on the Upper West Side when the Tea Party wins, going, we'll get through this too. There are elections every 2 years. I find myself sounding like everybody I've been telling to calm down my whole life because it sounds like an overstatement. But when you have election-denying people, some of them fascists, that are sweeping through Republican primaries. They're anti-democratic and have told us they will only support winners in elections like Orban and Putin if their side wins. Then suddenly democracy does, please forgive me for catastrophizing, democracy does seem to be on a razor's edge, does it not?
It does, Joe. I'm just going to say this as a black woman. it is not always okay. And it doesn't always end well. So,
Right.
And I want to marry this to David's very important point about democracy and the threats to democracy, because, and Wisconsin's a great example of this. You know, the great lie, as we call it, that led to the second impeachment of Donald Trump, it also centered on something we've seen in Wisconsin, that's barring people from voting, and particularly in places like Milwaukee, where we have seen election officials threatened because of lies around voter fraud, and a state that has actually made it much more difficult for people to vote, particularly people of color. That is a threat to democracy. That is why we need voting rights, and we all need it. And we have to pay attention to that. Donald Trump has been one of the biggest attackers of that very important principle, and the Republican Party for the first time went along with it in refusing bipartisan support for voting rights. We must remember that, and we must work to change that.
Yes, and point taken, as a black woman versus a white guy born in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia, in the middle of the American century. That said, David Rothkopf, you know, there's the quote that Martin Luther King would always quote, along with John Meacham. He likes this quote, too, talking about how the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. We've been diverted, if that is, in fact, what Reverend King and so many other people have believed for some time. We have been diverted over the past 5 years, and we seem to be taking a radical turn to the far right. Now, when you look again at these nominees, not for a local city council race, but actually for governor of Pennsylvania, governor of Arizona, governor of Wisconsin, like some extraordinarily important positions, Secretary of State of Arizona, and they're election deniers. They're anti-democratic, and they believe that the only thing that matters is winning.
Yeah, well, I take some comfort, as I think you do, from the fact that the Republican Party has decided to turn to the island of lost and broken toys for their candidates, you know, and you know, you've got people who are unqualified, people who are clearly not up to the job, people who aren't even from the state they're from, running for office. You've got people with wildly extreme views, and that may have served them in Republican primaries. But when you get into the election, you're going to get the result that Donald Trump gets when he runs for office. He lost the popular vote when he ran the first time. He lost the popular vote when he ran the second time. And he squandered Republican leads, as you pointed out, in the Congress. You know, I just look at Herschel Walker and Mehmet Oz and Kari Lake and some of these characters, and I think this is going to happen again because it's just too far. It's irrational. And I think it's going to be the undoing of the Trumpist movement in the Republican Party.
David
Agreed.
Rothkopf, thank you. We'll be reading your latest piece in the Daily Beast. Maya Wiley, thank you as well very much for being on this morning.